whether it is the amount of money somebody is earning, whether it is the way they use it, whether it is relatives who come to your office. I've heard of stories. If somebody can be able to fish for themselves, I think we're getting ourselves into the right position that we can. So what's the opportunity that we have? Financial literacy builds that resilience, it builds the focus, and it builds loyalty amongst your team members. Why? Because they feel like they're part of a family, they're part of a group of people who care for them. It's not just about budgeting, guys. Because when those of you who will come and we've trained your teams, and please do share with your colleagues who are seated around you, remember this fact. Budgeting the amount of money you're receiving today is not the way to the successful life that you want. It's one of the tools. So if somebody is not in the mindset that I need to work harder in order to earn more, or to work smarter in order to earn more, then the income problem will continue to be an issue. Quick story. We were training at one of your organizations. I shall not name them. But this guy is a brilliant engineer. He's young. This is what his story was. When he started at the organization, where he used to go and drink with his friends was at the local pub, where a beer is how much? The local pub is like how much? 200, like that. Good. See, he got a promotion. And what did he say? Now the beers where I used to drink don't taste as good. So where does he come now? See, to around Westlands, right? Good. Where a beer is how much when you come out with your come, they're under his name. Who pays for the drinks? So when he was in our class, he came back and he testified to this because he had a problem. He said, Waithaka, I went home and I tracked my expenses. What did I discover? I'm spending over 80,000 shillings a month on alcohol, and I am not an alcoholic. So when he went through it, he began to realize, I'm the one who bought that bottle at the table. The guys who were unable to pay that day, who was the one paying? So he's earning now probably close to 10 times what he started with, but he still has the same financial issues. So it's not just about budgeting. It's mindset. We have to keep that in mind. Empowered employees means stronger teams because they're working better together and they're thinking about the issues that they're facing as an organization. So what are the benefits of financial literacy training? I want us to fully appreciate what they are. Number one, it boosts productivity and mental health. That one is clear. Financial secure employments are less distracted and more present. And when I say present, you guys know what it means. Presentism, you are aware of, yes? One of the things that I love working at Centonomy is they were not so worried about whether you show up in the office or not. What we are looking for is productivity. And sometimes we get so caught up in be there, that we forget the person needs a space in which where they're comfortable and able to work. Quiet, hey, are we facing quiet quitting here as well? You know what it's like. People just show up. Minimum. Because their minds are elsewhere. And finally, it improves overall mental health and well-being from a couple of studies that we've gone through. So I want us to think about it this way. If you're thinking about the retention and loyalty issues, employees stay where they feel supported. It's a fact. And I've seen it in organizations where people are willing to say, you know what? These guys pay well, but I can't handle the stress. These guys pay well, but now mental health is becoming more important for them. And as we talk about it, I want you to think deeply around it. Financial education creates emotional engagement as well, because there's a sense that you see, when you come for a financial literacy talk, it's not about the organization, it's about me. And that's those are the areas that you want to pay attention to. Shows that the company cares beyond that compensation issue that we were discussing earlier on. So this is for your sake. Financial literacy also for your team reduces your pressure. It does, because fewer salary advance requests and crisis interventions that we're facing, and we've seen it over and over again. Now, there is a significant imbalance in this room. Just look around. Can you feel the imbalance? And I wanted, there's a reason that I'm mentioning this. For some people in this room, the maternal instinct kicks in, and it feels like these people are your children. It's touching some people here at front more than in the front more than others somewhere at the back. But I want to encourage you in this way. Just like your children, you are a successful parent when your child achieves independence. If a child continuously to be dependent, you are a failure as a parent. You get what I'm speaking generally, as a general rule. Obviously, there are those who need more support than others. But it is them achieving independence that is going to cause for greater success along the way. You are more proactive than supportive, and then along the way builds independence and confidence amongst your staff. I'm just going quickly because I know our time has moved forward. So it also maximizes on existing benefits. Let me give you an idea of what that looks like. Often, an employee does not fully understand the benefits they're receiving. And it's only when they're in an environment in which those benefits do not exist that they're like, oh, I wish I knew. I'm very tempted to tell stories around, especially medical insurance, that's one of the biggest areas. And when you find an employee who doesn't fully understand that even if I'm not paying you more, but I've put you under medical cover, this is massive for your life. And it's only in the moment where now you claim those benefits that you begin to see the shift in their lives. Let me show you one more. Some of you have seen this, but some of you may not have seen this. And this is what I mean by maximizing on current benefits that are there. So I want you to just quickly have a look at the screen. So when we come and do our financial literacy training, one of the areas that we focus on is debt, because people borrow a lot. Listen, it is employees who are the ones who are borrowing the most. Let's just be clear. Because banks don't like entrepreneurs. They like, we just be clear. Banks love employees. Why? Because you guys sign documents saying this person is our employee and we shall be paying them the whole year. So we know you will even deduct at source. So, huge benefit. You get like a which one? Fielder? Ati Subaru? No, please. Subaru, you are talking about a 2001. Here we are talking Toyota Auris, the hatchback, Mazda Axela, the hatchback, that kind of car. So you still look like an Uber driver. You know, they don't, no, listen. I am speaking from experience. There are certain cars that you drive to the gate and then the guard comes and says, una pick, ama una drop. You know those cars? I've driven, no, listen, I've done it. And then by the grace of God now, the car that I'm driving, in fact, I get surprised now. Kwani utaki kukagua kidogo, at least look. They open randomly. Anyway, I digress. So 1.8 million, you still look like an Uber driver, right? So can I just show you what now your employee needs to think about? When I show it to you, it becomes so obvious that the choices shift. Okay? So when you look at it, let me just explain here. That 1.8 million at 20%, it means that you're paying about 47,688 for 60 months. But this is the number that usually opens people's eyes. I will pay a total of how much in interest alone? 1 million. So how much did I pay for this car? 2.8 million for a car that when I bought it was worth how much? 1.8. Sour, good. 5 years later, I now own the car. See, now I want to sell it. Very good. How much will I get for this car? Less than the 1.8 that I bought it for. Is my car an asset? No, let's take it further than that. For these 5 years, I have had to insure it. I've had to fuel it. I had to maintain it. I had to bring in the parts and everything. The whole transaction, I am losing money. So, Is the car a bad thing? It's not a bad thing. But the debt is bad because the whole transaction I am losing. So in a class that we run, I'll be able to take your team, and the team here will also be able to assist you to think differently. In fact, we'll tell you borrow more. That sounds odd. But we'll tell you, if you're beginning to think like an investor, you're beginning to think, what if I can do more? So I'll tell you borrow more. And I'd say borrow 2.1 instead of 1. If you can afford 1.8, you can afford 2.1. With 2.1, you can get 3 cars. Now you look like an official Uber driver, because now the car you get is a Suzuki Alto and that size. But guess what? Now pay attention. Instead of getting 1, you get what? 3. 1 is yours. The other 2, 3,000 for 6 days a week is how much? 18,000 for 4 weeks a month is how much? 52K. What is your monthly repayment? So essentially, these 2 guys are paying for your loan. Not only that, because I happen to own a Suzuki Alto, do you know how cheap it is to replace all the tires? Not one, all of them at once. In fact, my car has never gone on. When you see the trade is going down, you buy new. You don't even need to. You buy new because it's so cheap. For those of you who struggle to find parking that car. And let's take it a little bit further. If this person was thinking, I am an investor more than I am just trying to receive, put the third one on the road. The 3 of them will be able to pay for the other one that you want. But you focused on an asset before you did the liabilities that you're talking about here. Are we getting the point? So it's not about denial. And that's the thing that many times people think about as far as finance is concerned. It's about control. And so when we're dealing with our training, we always come from that perspective of how can we build the control? How can we build the control that is going to give us the direction that we want? So employees often don't understand company benefits. Financial education increases uptake of pension, insurance, and the rest. Guys don't know the truth about insurance. You see, you don't feel it until something has happened. Right? With all this rain, I thank God we took personal cover for our home up country. Because with the rain, did it not happen? So there was construction of a road near our place. Just last week, the farmhand calls and says, guess what? The wall has fallen. The entire perimeter wall along where the construction had happened collapsed. Now, when they did the first estimate, they're saying when you hear 1 point something million, you're just like, where are we getting it from? But having that insurance benefit gets you along the way. Increases ROI on your current HR investments. So it's also a culture builder. I don't need to spend much time on this because you guys know. Trust, transparency, open and dialogue. This is the one that I have to mention. We recognize it very, very clearly in certain organizations that once you have training, it begins dialogue in the office. So prior to that, there's a sense in which people feel like they are the only ones dealing with problems. But once they have the training, they begin to realize it's not just me. Then you have discussions around where are you investing? Where are you putting your money? What are you doing? And we see that growth along in the organizations as well. I just want to mention the last one as well. As we go along, it creates a culture of growth and empowerment. That one I don't need to spend much time on. Supports inclusion and equity. You know what it's like. The team members who come into your organization are from different backgrounds. And we've especially seen those who have been supported through bursaries, through scholarships. They come from a background in which money management was not an issue. Brilliant minds, but zero experience. This now begins to level the play field that we begin to have in the office. Promotes economic empowerment from underrepresented groups and obviously aligns with your DEI and ESG goals as well. It's a smart investment on your part. Why? The cost of inaction on your part is what? Burnout, turnover, poor financial decisions. Make the investment in advance. Loyalty, engagement, productivity, and healthier teams is what you'll get in response. It's not a perk, guys. It is a strategy. So I'm encouraging you, and thank you for so many of you who have partnered with us, and I know we've already had a couple of conversations today. I'm going to ask that we continue to partner. It's not something that you do once and then it's done. Financial literacy and education is a continuous learning affair, and we'd love to partner with you in that same regard. So, did you finish sharing your biggest financial mistakes with your neighbors? Did you? I want to hear the wildest one. Which one? Now tell on your neighbor. What did you hear that surprised you along the way? Someone here, one that surprised you. Anyone willing to share? Or you don't want to tell on your neighbor? You can confess your own, like me. I understand. You can tell on your neighbor or yourself. Did anyone find something that was surprising? Yeah, go ahead.
I'll tell on myself. My name is Clara. I run an interior design firm called Interior Perspective Studio. So this was a mistake I did, which was ignoring KRA at the beginning of it was ignorance. And we had a debt of 4 million, which was 2018, and we just finished paying last year. Yeah, so that just, we're breaking even all these years. Yeah.
You are making losses. Let me just be very clear. Let me explain in official financial terms. If the business is breaking even, but you're still paying tax over and above, that means that your costs are higher than your revenue. Therefore, you are making. Thank you very much for not having started well at the beginning. Our first speaker for today, I'm so happy to have her here. Beatrice Kiruri is the HR business manager at Bamburi Cement. She's been in the business for a long time. I will not say more. Can we put our hands together for Beatrice as she comes to share her experiences as well?
All right, good morning, HR colleagues. Able to salimiane kwa hewa. So you are most welcome. I'll be taking you through a presentation. Where was I seeing you standing? That would work well for me. All righty. I'll be taking you through a presentation on building a corporate culture that champions performance. Is that good enough? How are we doing on first quarter, my HR colleagues? Did we achieve the targets? Yeah? Did we achieve? Are we almost there? Do not worry. That's the discussion you're going to be having for the next 20 minutes. I will take you through employee engagement, what it is. If you keep smiling at me, you know they say public speaking is one of the biggest fear. If you keep smiling at me, I'll give you 2 bonuses. All right? I'll give you 1 bonus of extra information. And then at the end, when I'm giving you my parting shot, I will show you something that is going to help you at work. So like he said, my name is Beatrice Kiruri. I've been in the HR industry for the last 13 years. Before then, I was customer service manager in the same organization and a sales manager, a national sales manager. So I still used to sell the cement that you used to see. And look at me now, I'm doing HR work. So that's my history. So I say amen. It's been a journey. Yeah? So this is the discussion that we will be having. All righty. It's not. So there we go. We'll be talking about employee engagement because employee engagement has a link on the big crucial business outcome. According to Gallup meta-analysis, the 11th edition in May 2024, they said that engaged employees or organizations that have engaged employees will give 23% profitability in comparison to their peers. They will have 10% better customer satisfaction than companies that do not have engaged employees. How does that sound? Just take a minute and think about your performance in Q1, and then add 23% better performance, add 10% better customer satisfaction, add 17% better performance in sales. Look at your sales numbers, whatever it is. And then they were doing 17% and 14% better in the other departments. Is that something your CEO would like to hear? Imagine HR just going and presenting those numbers and saying, in this economy that we are in, we could do better. And so we'll be talking about employee engagement. Now, What is employee engagement? Have you seen that picture over there? Not my job. Employee engagement is not employee satisfaction. Tell your neighbor, employee engagement is not employee satisfaction. It is not employee happiness. I know HR, employees are not happy, employees are not satisfied. It is not that. A happy employee is not necessarily an engaged employee. So long as you are making payroll, kama mnafunga payroll by 25th, those employees are happy. But they are not necessarily giving you the business outcomes that you want to see. If you are an investor, so long as you are making payroll, you are able to give a job, the employee is happy. So we are not talking about employee happiness. We are not talking about employee satisfaction. Okay, employees can be happy doing nothing, by the way. I'm an employee. Give me a desk, I'm fine. Yes, I will not achieve the, and Wi-Fi, by the way, very important for Gen Zs. And Wi-Fi, and then on top of that, add work at home. Aye, my friend. That is it. I am so set. I'll be a happy employee. So let's not be caught up in employee happiness. That's not what you're talking about, because employee happiness will not give you the business outcomes that you want. It's not the reason you started that business. It will not give you profitability. It will not give you customer satisfaction. It will not give you less errors. What is employee engagement? It's the heart and mind connection of the employee and their commitment to the business achieving its goals. Okay? It is the discretionary effort. This is what we are calling discretionary effort that the employee has when they are doing their job. Something as HR you cannot police. I know we like policing. You cannot policy it. You cannot write it in policy. That please next time you go and do that painting, make sure you remove the branch. Okay? Because you'll write a lot of policies. It's when the employee is engaging, and especially for those in manufacturing where we are working 24 hours a day. That discretionary effort that the employee takes and goes over and above to deliver is what we call employee engagement. Have you been in an organization, especially at lunchtime? If you want to see the engagement of employees, go to an organization at lunchtime. Sit there and then wait for them when they are coming from lunch. And nobody talks to you. Ask you, excuse me, umesaviwa? Has anyone attended to you? There, the receptionist moves away from the desk and the phones are ringing off the hook. They will still come with their toothpicks, walking in very well. Akina Jonte and Akina Mato, they will walk in very well. Nobody is going to ask you. But there at the reception is a policy and a mission statement that say we want to be the leading organization, providing services to our customer, being the leading in East Africa. That means the connection between the mission of that organization and the heart of the employee is not there. But if you have employees that will come and ask you, excuse me, madam, have you been served? And to keep asking you as their person. And you know, again, HR, you cannot policy that. You cannot train it. You just have to engage their minds and heart for them to deliver that for you. That is what we are talking about. And how we do it, I'm going to tell you in the short time you're going to be together. Now, this is first fact. Shikeni masikio hivi. Managers account for 70% variance in employee engagement. Go and Google it. We have ChatGPT, we have so many things. We are adult learners, Cindy. So just take your points that you can go and check later. Managers account for 70% variance. Who are managers? Manager is the person that the employee calls when their child is unwell. So if you call them a team leader, if you call them the CEO, if you call them the functional person, whatever name you have in your organization, that person is very important to the employee engagement. Okay? You must remember this, even when you're doing your training and development program. This is the person who interprets policy. And this is the person that the employee experiences the organization through. Imagine this. The employee has a sick child. They call a manager. Tiriring, tiriring. Hello. I'm sorry I'm not able to come early in the morning because my child is unwell. This manager says, unataka nikuje nimdunge shindano? Why are you calling me? Why are you calling me about this? Is that something you can put on policy? But that is how that employee will experience that organization. Another employee calls a different manager. And when they pick the phone, they pick and tell them, oh, I'm so sorry. Which child is this? They even know the names. Is it Mary? Is it John? Is it who? Which child? Oh, I'm so sorry. Tell your spouse, it's okay. Take time. When the child is better, let them come. Okay? Those employees will be engaged differently. Meaning 70% variance is that sometimes all you need to do for a disengaged employee is to change the manager. The employee is very talented. The employee, you recruited well. There's nothing wrong you did. You just need to change the manager and the engagement of the employee goes up. All right? So remember that as we go through this presentation. Now, who's thinking your boat in that organization? Let's have that discussion. In every organization, including where you work, where you're the CEO, where you're doing everything, there are 3 kinds of employee. Ata sahi, even you as an employee, you'll either be an engaged employee, not engaged, or actively disengaged. At any one point in your organization, they fall in those categories. Now think of a boat. The engaged employees on this side, they are working with great effort. These are the people, once you did that strategy of yours in Naivasha for 2 days, you came and said you're having a 20% profit, and as doing in your exco came. Now you came and presented it to employees. These are the 20%, these people who are engaged are the ones who said, yes, we can do it. Let's go ahead. They even bring innovation and start giving ideas on how the strategy will be met. Then we have another group of not engaged. They are in this boat of yours, but they're just there. Clearly doing 8 to 5. Mukitaka kufanya what? Mukijisikia mufunge, hiyo ni shauri yenu. Mukijisikia kuendelea, it is your own problem. If you feel, just meet payroll. Just make sure that I'm able to do. They are there. They're enjoying the view. But they are not bad people because they deliver just barely. Those people who achieve objectives, they are there. Now we have another group of people. They are called actively disengaged. Again, this is information you can Google. Actively disengaged are actually trying to sink the boat. The minute you presented that strategy, that lunchtime with their toothpick, that's the discussion that was there. A lot of nonsense that we have been told. Ata sidhani, ata ya last year hatukupata, so I don't even know why they are adding these numbers on sales. We are not going to be able to do it. Now, the most amazing thing I want you to note about actively disengaged employees is they are also HR people. I'm not saying they do HR work, but they're actively recruiting others to be as disengaged as they are. That's the problem with these people. This is the problem. They are not satisfied by being themselves. Nobody else is doing recruitment there, but the actively disengaged employees are also recruiting others. They are the ones who keep telling people, they will come early in the morning. They will put their bag down, but they'll walk around trying to do some recruitment. Now, do not hate on them. Tell your neighbor, don't hate on actively disengaged them. And don't try go fire them today. Your recruitment was okay, by the way. You recruited good people. There's nothing wrong with them. The problem with actively disengaged employees is because you're not meeting one of their needs. When they came, they were either engaged or not engaged. But there's a need you did not meet, not as HR, but as an organization. Either you promised them a promotion, or they did an interview for a promotion that nobody gave feedback, like we don't. Hata we HR welewi vile kulienda, but the employee did not get that position. Sindio? Nobody gave them feedback. Nobody told them. There is a need that the business is not meeting. And once you meet that need, most of these people, you'll even realize they are very talented people, best education, very good in what they do. If you meet that need, then they can move up, okay? So your target as an HR person or as a business person is to have as many engaged employees as possible and as few actively disengaged recruiters as possible. In fact, Gallup says for every one actively disengaged moja, you need 4 engaged employees because of the damage that the disengaged employees do. Remember, they are recruiting. And the people that they try to pull down are actually your talent. It is your talent that they are trying to pull down. It is your talent that they are going to bully. It is your talent and the business people and the strategy that has given that they are going to pull down. But the bad thing is they don't leave. They will not leave. And now you can't go and tell somebody, now I'm going to fire you because you're actively disengaged. How do you even have experience? The best thing that you can do is try to move them up, okay? Because I told you they meet every criteria. It's just that one of their need is not being met. And once you meet that need, they are going to move up and they become one of your best supporters. In fact, some of them were engaged at some point. They were engaged, maybe they were going up in their career, they were going up until something happened. A training was being sent somewhere and they thought their name was there. And then you know what happens. Akatolewa. Did anybody explain to them why it was removed? No. And they joined the actively disengaged. And now they're in the recruitment of getting other people together with them. So for the next few minutes, let's see what will happen. What do you see there? Right there. Quickly. What is that thing that you're seeing? A cat? Cheetah? Somebody at the back, are you actively disengaged? Actively saying, are you actively disengaged? Somebody at the back, what are you seeing? So let's see what it is. Let's see what it is. We are seeing an amazing, fast-running, powerful animal. That's how our organizations are. When we are asked right now, even as HR, why are we not performing? Why are people not? You're not so sure. You know, I like most industries. When you go to the doctor starts somewhere. Even when you know the disease, they ask you, unaumwa na kichwa, ilianza lini, and they take you through a process. And it's a standard that they do across in all industry. Most industries have a standard of how they diagnose their problem. But maybe as HR, I don't know about you. But right now, if somebody was going to ask you, why didn't we achieve our targets for Q1? You will be like that. We are not so sure, anga sijui ni nini, anga hatuko sure, anga sijui we don't have this recruitment, anga. We are going to have clarity by the end of this presentation. Sawa, walk with me, engage with me in the next few minutes. Are you ready? Are you ready? Good. This is not a trick, but I had to explain. First, write on your notes, Gallup Q12 elements, because this is my first assignment to you because we cannot discuss. Gallup is a company that has been engaged in studying employee happiness, studying employee engagement, studying what makes employees happy at work. After their many, many years of research, they have come up with 12 elements. And they said, if as an employer, you are able to meet these 12 elements, you are good to go. If you are able to address these 12 issues, not many, if you're able to address these 12, you're good to go. Question number 1, they ask in the engagement survey, I know what is expected of me. If the employee knows what is expected of them, then they are going to be engaged, okay? From a HR perspective, what are we talking about when we say an employee knows what is expected of them? We are talking about job descriptions and their KPIs. But these job descriptions have how many objectives? 23. 23 objectives. These job descriptions have responsibility with no authority. You are supposed to deliver, but you've not been given the authority. Okay? So they say, please, if you want that employee to be engaged, make sure they know what is expected of me. Who is going to do that? Is it HR? And that's why I told you the line manager, that's 70%. They're the ones who know what job that employee does. And they're the ones who are going to sit and review those job descriptions. For those that are in L&D, because in the invitation I saw something about L&D. What we am telling you, as a person who has done L&D for 7 years, you see these 12 elements, all of them, there's a training attached to it. Think of it that way. A training that you can run in-house or a training that you can get somebody else to run for you. Just the part 1 that is talking about, I know what is expected of me. You can do a whole leaders training on how to do job descriptions, how to make sure that you're not submitting job descriptions that have 23 responsibility, how to ensure that really that's what the employee is doing, and that you're sitting down with this employee and explaining to them how success looks like. Cynthia, so that they may be able to deliver. I'll just talk about a few. The rest I'll leave to you to go and Google. Number 2, I have the materials and equipment I need to do my work. You recruit an employee, you don't give them the materials to do their job. Mtu wa sales, they're supposed to be going somewhere. They're even supposed to have the training of your product, but that has not been given. Okay? Who is going to do that training? Partly HR to ensure that the onboarding is correct, but also the line manager. And it's only the line manager who can tell you the tools and the what? And the equipment that this employee needs. Now, among all this, there are 2 that stand out for me, which have put a smiley face. In the last 7 days, I have received recognition or praise for doing good work. The first time I saw this, I had to read it in my mother tongue, because I think in my mother tongue. You know, when you meet a white person, they ask you, you speak 3 languages. Which one do you use to think? Somebody once asked me that, and I skipped and I said, maybe I think in my mother tongue. So I had to interpret it in my mother tongue and in Swahili for me to understand. Quite Peter, umepata recognition or praise for good work. And I had to ask, even when we were doing Gallup, I had to ask, 7 days, who has time to go recognizing people every 7 days? But they said it's a human need. That a human need. Go try it at home. If you at least you can't do it at your workplace, go try recognize those who are close to you and see an amazing thing that is going to happen. Okay? So it is a human need that every 7 days you have to be appreciated. Every 7 days you have to be told you are doing well. HR, is that our role or the role of the manager? You see where training is going now. You have a whole training on recognition because they'll say add more salary. I told you, even if you added, they will not be happy. So long as, even if you paid up, they will still not be happy if you're not meeting these needs. So you see, in the last 7 days, I've received recognition or praise for good work that I have done. Story. Let me give you a story. Story. So the year is 2012. I'm the national sales manager in the same company that I work in, Bamburi Cement. And it's media appraisal. And now during media appraisal, I call myself for a meeting and I tell myself, Beatrice, you know how sales is, eh? The numbers are not looking very good. But now you're going to meet this manager. Well, we had achieved target, but you know, sales, the business keep pushing you to go further. I was going for the media appraisal. Then we were based in Upper Hill. And I go meet with the manager and I sit. So you first do a self-appraisal. In my self-appraisal, I told myself, Beatrice, you are wise enough. In Nairobi, hukuja kuangalia magari. We have to play this thing, eh? So don't put yourself exceed expectation because you will argue. Simtakapo, you'll argue, you did not exceed the what and the how. You know how HR set these things up, the what and the how. Yes, I don't know, you did what. I told myself, weka, met expectation. It will be a quick job. You enter the room, you come out, met expectation. Nobody's asking, the numbers are good, you leave. And so I went and I sat with this director, who's the commercial director. And he looked at my performance and then he asked me, Beatrice, why have you ranked yourself as met expectation? And I was there, what? He moved to his drawer and removed a notebook, a diary. And I could see the names of all the other people that would report to him. And he got to my name. And he told me, you actually didn't meet expectations. You have exceeded expectations. And the reason is he started going. In January, you designed a customer service training and rolled it out to all our drivers. In whatever you did this, on this day, I like the way you presented. On this day, things that I had forgotten. Let me tell you, Maina. By the time I was leaving that room, there is no way you tell me we would not hit those numbers that year. Was I added salary? No. I left the room. I called the regional managers and I told them, let me tell you, people, these numbers, we are going for it. There's nothing more he did than keeping a diary of what I had done and making sure he's recognizing everything that, a very simple thing that we can train our managers. Sindio? And for sure that year, we hit those numbers. Nobody was added salary. Nobody was added anything. We were experiencing some of the worst competition, but we hit those numbers. Just recognition. One of the other things now, when I come to HR that we have done, is we have looked for a day, we call it Employee Recognition Day. In your company, you can choose any day. See, we have Valentine's Day. See, people are supposed to be loved throughout the year. But on this year, we have allocated a day that we recognize people have to be loved. That's the same thing with recognition, so that you can put it fresh in their mind. What did we do? As we have a lot of engineers, abstract thinking, so you have to type a bit of the information. And sometimes people are not very emotional when you're recognizing. So we just prepared a little slide, told them it's Employee Recognition Day. We have set it on this day. What are we asking you to do on that day? Beginning with the line managers and being very discreet. Like we didn't tell the whole organization so they can say, ndio wamama wa HR, wamesema watu watumiwe nini, watumiwe vitu za recognition. No, it's discreet. That morning when employees woke up, they found SMSs. And the SMSs are very specific because we had drafted a few messages just to direct people how you should write. Very specific. Dear Beatrice, I appreciate you that you're in my team. I like the way you do. Let the manager feel that part XYZ, I'm so happy that you're working together. Thank you. That was level 1. MD sent to as many people that you have the phone number. Line manager sent to as many people as you have the phone numbers. And it went across the organization. You should have seen. As we have people even working in Quarry who put on PPE, who never quite come out. People were excited. Employees were excited. The effect went and it now started going to employees upon employees, among themselves, recognizing each other. Very simple to implement. No budget. There's no budget you're asking for from Exco. You're just drafting a message for them and putting it on the calendar and saying, this is the Employee Recognition Day. This is how we are going to be doing it. And every year we will be recognizing. See, I've given you a good tip. Give me a hand clap right there. Thank you. The other one that I need you will read this for yourself. my supervisor or someone at work cares about me as a person. Make sure you offer Centonomy classes and all that kind, but I'll tell you. The other one that I'm very happy about is I have a best friend at work. I remember when I saw that question, I was like, hey, we came to work. You mean employees are supposed to be having best friends at work? And we argued, even by the time we were rolling out the employee engagement, we were asking, whatever, Gallup, do we really? And they said we are not the first organization to ask that, because I didn't come to work. You know what we say? Didn't come to make friends. We were like, okay, can you edit it and put it as I have a friend at work? They're like, no, it's a best friend. The truth is, when an employee has a best friend or a friend at work, there are things that happen that even you, HR, you cannot do. You see those things, that WhatsApp, the main WhatsApp group of the organization. And then there's this other WhatsApp where we discuss the WhatsApp that was discussed in the WhatsApp. That is very important. Don't close those WhatsApp group. They do mental health check and they clarify. Let me tell you, if an employee is having an issue at work, the best friend will be the first to notice. Always look. By the time they commit suicide, if ever, I've never experienced that, people will already say, tayari tulikuwa tumemwambia. By the time you start dealing with alcoholism, absenteeism, they have already picked it up and they've already started dealing with it. So it's very important as you as a HR to create an environment for people to be best friends and fund it. It's a need. We spend more time at work than we do at home. So why can't we be friends? Why can't we be waiting for policies to be discussed and the CEO to talk, and then we go outside over there, tunakalia mitungi tukikula, fruit salad, and discuss that policy and clarify for each other. It plays a role. So in your budget, as you put it together, and in your trainings, make sure when I'm seated at home wearing a dera, watching, and the news, I'm watching Citizen and I'm not exactly watching, I do this research. I think in addition to the 12 questions, you need to have a question about respect at work. That people are treated with respect. You're having a crisis, isn't you, of mental health. Prevent whatever, sexual harassment, intimidation, and bullying in the workplace. Nobody gets paid enough to come to work. Hakuna mtu alikuja Nairobi kukuwa bullied. Hakuna mtu alikuja Nairobi to be harassed. Sindio? It's important that you check. You do that check that employees are not being bullied and that they are being treated with respect. Even if the answer in your PAL survey is one employee, it is one too many. It is one too many. We do not pay. If there is ever an answer that you ask employees, I'm not being treated with respect, please address it immediately. Nobody gets paid enough to be disrespected. Innovation. Oh, we are an innovative company. We are innovative. I feel encouraged to come up with new and better ways of doing things. Is it true? Please find out. Take a pulse test of your employees and find out whether that environment is innovative. When I was doing my classes recently, okay, sijamaliza CHRP, niko kwa darasa, forgive me. Very soon, by the time Centonomy call me again, I'll be a CHRPK. So when I was doing my class, one of the lecturers talked about an organization whereby an employee innovated. They looked at let me tell you, this employee, especially at the shop floor, they know how to run that company. They can run it very, very well. So they came up with a process of how the company would cut costs that was going to save the company a lot of money. Guess how much they were rewarded with? Walipatiwa ngiri mbili. Wakaambiwa, thank you very much for innovating this process. Do you think watu ni wajinga? We know how much you've saved this company. What happens then? We are talking about a culture of high performance. Do you know culture? Even the student that is in second year, the day they will come to your organization, watapewa your story. Hii kampuni don't even try to change anything. Imagine so and so. That person has already retired many years ago, but they will be given that story. That there's an employee who came here. Imagine they saved them 20 million. Alilipwa pesa ngapi? 2,000. Guys, check whether you have a culture of innovation. Even as you're saying, you're going to innovate, because innovation anyway, it is what is going to drive you to the next level. Last but not least, health and safety. My company cares about my health and safety. And that is where Centonomy comes in. For the mental health, for the financial health, for everything health. Make sure that you're asking such questions and that the employees can answer to you and tell you it's true, we have health and safety. Let's recap. I sat down and I said, those are a lot of things. I'd been told, usually a good trainer, you should just give 3 points. So I said, how can we remember? How can my people remember this? And I came up with the word staff to remember the few points that I've given. Point number one, S starts for set clear objectives. This is mine, by the way. You won't even find it if you do Google Chat GPT. I call Mimi, I'm the one who created. So feel free to go and use it, but I'm the one who created it. So S stands for set clear objectives. It also stands for safety for employees, both physical and mental. T stands for provide training. Do not assign somebody a job that you have not trained them for or they have not received training for. Again, if you're in manufacturing like me, huyo mtu atajiua. Atajikata mkono ama electrocute themselves. So do not assign somebody work that they've not been trained for. Make sure you are developing them and that they are growing. Make sure you provide them the tools. A salesperson, they need a car, they need mobile airtime. For you to ensure that they remain engaged, make sure you give them the tools. Appreciation and recognition. Tumesema every 7 days, find a way to recognize your employees. Next, when you assign somebody work, ask your line managers to follow up. Upatiwi kazi unaendelea. Let me tell you, Gen Z, you cannot give them work that is useless. That's one thing I like about this generation coming to the workplace. Hawafanyangi useless work. My generation could. I mean, we feared. I think we're how many years from colonization? Maybe 50. We would still do work that doesn't make sense. Not Gen Z. They will still come and ask you, that presentation that I did, how was it? How is it affecting the bigger picture? If it is not, my friend, they are not doing it. So make sure you follow up and you give feedback and the necessary support. And last but not least, ensure you have feedback and respect in the workplace. All right? Friendship. No, yeah, sorry. You have friendship and feedback. You have friendship and respect in the workplace. Good. So did you enjoy my talk, my 20 minutes talk? I thank you. Let's keep in touch. That's my email address, iruribeatrice@gmail.com. I'm also a published author. That's my book, We Took the Risk. I've written a book that is called We Took the Risk, where I talk about risk-taking in the workplace, risk-taking with your career, and risk-taking, because even in the Bible, it says if you don't take a risk, well, that servant who did not take a risk when he was given his talents, he was called a fool. So if you're not taking a risk, I am not going to tell you what you are. God has equipped you with everything that you need. And especially if you are from Africa, there are too many problems in Africa for us not to step out and take the risk so that we can solve some of the issues that are there. Let's connect on LinkedIn and especially give me feedback there. Go into LinkedIn, send us a request. Let's engage, inbox me. Let me know how it went. If there's anything you need to clear, I'll be there to clarify it for you. So I don't know whether I take a question or we do the questions at the end.
The most notes. Anyway, as I lead this organization, I'm so challenged by some of the things that have been said here. And may God help us to do the right thing. So we'll take 2 questions. And it's the first 2 that come. If they don't come in the next 5 seconds, we move on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, and 1 at the back there. Just give me 1 second.
Hi, my name is Cindy.
Yes, Cindy.
So my question is, how can I transition into HR if I didn't do a degree in HR?
All right, this one we shall answer with the many. This room is 90% HR people. First, I give my experience. How did I transition? HR found me. HR found me because I was a sales manager. Then I was asked to design training programs, to help actually, training programs for our salespeople. Then I was told, why don't you roll them out? After all, you're the one who has designed, we showed you how to design. They told me, you're actually a good trainer. What are you doing in sales? That's how I found myself in HR. So now I had to work backwards, get into HR, get appointed, and then now start doing the certification and trying to get, that's why you're seeing bad water HR, because I was still in the process of certifying and getting all this. And I resisted for a while. So what I will tell you, it is not a good practice. But the environment this is what actually the IHRM, they would hate me if they had me saying this. But if you do get into that space, step into it, then make sure you get the training and the certification. Because the problem with HR, we are the only people who have the word human. Nobody else in the organization has human. And our issues land in court. We are not, and then every other problem that is happening, it is you with your practicing certificate that ends up in court. So make sure you get the training. You can transition from from my experience, you can transition from most of the background of what you learned, but what I'll tell you, within the shortest time, enroll yourself and get the correct certification. Because some of the things that we do in HR, you are not allowed to do without a practicing certificate. And one to you, if you end up in court and you are being questioned, and one of the issues that has been brought, we have a lawyer here, is that actually this is a quack that is practicing. Okay, so either do that, or before you enter HR, already go back to school, start getting the certificates, start getting the whatever, and put it in your individual development plan and start having that discussion with the organization that you're in. Any other person atachangia hapo?
Let's just take the next question for now, just to manage time.
All right.
Please.
Okay, thank you, Beatrice. Maybe not a question per se. My name is Doris.
Yes, Doris.
I've learned a lot from what you've shared. And one main thing that came out strongly was to appreciate, right?
Yes.
So can we just stand up on our feet and appreciate Beatrice for the training?
Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you so much. That was my only concern.
All right, thank you so much, and to God be all the glory. Now my parting shot. HR people, let's talk about disability inclusion. If you ever invite me again, we will have this discussion. But for now, I just want to pick your mind. Disability, we say, is a club that nobody applies to get into. In case it happens to you, with the policies hizo umeandika vizuri sana, what do you want the organization to do with you? What do you want them to do with the CEO when it happens to the CEO? We've had incidences of people who are just traveling in a matatu and it just braked and their back, somehow something happened, and they are wheelchair bound. What do you want us to do? What would you do with that talent, that amazing talent that you have in your organization? But mostly ask yourself, if it happened to you and you had to go back to work tomorrow, is that place and the policies that you have accommodative for you to be able to continue working there? Or do you want us to retire you on medical grounds and put you into poverty for the rest of your life? Think about it and make sure. I believe, because I'm also an inclusion advocate, I really believe included, and that truly a workplace becomes the best place to work when you can run this wheelchair across the organization, when you can enter any room and that person will be included. That is when it really becomes a true workplace. Think about it. God bless you. It's been a pleasure. I've enjoyed you listening to me. Thank you so much.
Not the whole presentation. What did you learn? What are you going to go and implement today? One thing. My sister-in-law is an introvert. She deeply dislikes, the way we've just done. When you're told in a meeting, talk to somebody, she hates it. Why are you telling me to talk to the person? I don't know who they are. So my response to my sister-in-law was this: listen to me. I am an extrovert. And for the last 30 minutes, I've had to keep everything inside of me. For 30 minutes, I could not respond even once to the things that were there. I have controlled myself. You can control yourself for at least 2 minutes. So introverts, forgive us. I mean, for us extroverts, we were holding ourselves. So I've only put you under pressure for 2 seconds. So it's okay. The rest of the time is for you to listen and to absorb. Wakili is in the house. Nicholas is here to help us because Beatrice said sometimes you might end up in court. Some of these things are legal matters, especially around your work, and it's so important for you to have awareness around it. So can we put our hands together for Nicholas Weru?
Most things end up in court. And so that is what we will be talking about today. Let me start by introducing myself. My name is Nicholas Weru. I am a partner at the firm of Ann Babu and Company. We deal primarily in employment and labor relations. So you guys are our clients. You guys are going to work, isn't it? There are some companies you worked at where you imagine the boss has called you to his office and you just wonder now, what does he want? That situation, that stress, that's what we are discussing. As HR professionals, you've had, I'm sure, random situations. If we were to ask you, what are some of the complaints you've received? There must be so many. Yeah? Number one, this guy always interrupts me in meetings. Yeah? And I think he has some beef with me. Can you address it? As HR, you're wondering now, where do we start? Do I call? Yeah. Number two, you have a colleague like Nick who walks into the office and the secretary at the front door is like, "Hi, baby boy." Yeah? Baby boy, umekula. Yeah? Baby boy, kuja ukae hapa na mimi. And now Nick comes to you and he complains, "I am tired of being called baby boy." And you even ask him, what's wrong with that? So do you know how many people are looking for someone to call them baby boy? Yeah? So it sounds like appreciation, isn't it? Yeah? Good. Another example. You have a colleague who joins the organization and all of you, she just walks in and you say, "Hey, huyo ni slay queen." Yeah? Huyo ni slay queen. It goes into a meeting. Slay queen kwani ako wapi? Amechelewa. It goes into a WhatsApp group. It becomes, slay queen usimuite hii mkutano. Unajua hajuangi vitu zingine. Yeah? Now, is that appropriate behavior? Is it appropriate language? Yet we laugh it off. We think that it's okay. It's how Kenyans are, isn't it? In fact, it's a term of endearment. It means we are always thinking about you. Yeah? But the situation gets tricky when now it has come to HR and you need to investigate it. You need to find out why it's happening and you need to get it out of the organization. And that's when you call Nick and Nick has all doom and gloom. So that's what I'll be taking you through. Now, what is psychosocial safety? It is simply protecting an employee's psychological and emotional well-being. Now, as Beatrice has told us, that is where productivity comes from. Yeah? That if I feel safe at the workplace, I will do what is required of me. And that's where, from a legal perspective, it is literally protecting someone's emotional space. Now, this includes many things. We've heard about bullying. Yeah? Bullying, I'll give you another example. Bullying can be very subtle. Yeah? I can walk through this door and I'm looking for Nick in legal and I say, "Can you call that short guy in legal?" Yeah? Or "Can you call for me that bald guy in finance?" Yeah? And people, it becomes part of your life. And that is bullying. Harassment is also included. Any unwanted behavior, anything that I don't want my colleague to be doing to me at the workplace, that's harassment. I have dealt with a case where we had a supervisor from a certain community in Kenya where they greet each other by touching the head. Yeah? So he would come into the office and he would touch your head without asking you, without telling you. That is his greeting. Yeah? And it got to a point where people would avoid this supervisor. Because once he's coming for your head, you also can't disrespect him. Yet you have spent the weekend in a salon doing your hair. Yeah? So those are the issues. Is that harassment? But in his community, it's a greeting. It's a term of respect. So is it still harassment? Okay, good. So yeah, so that's another thing. We have toxic management styles. We have the way we speak to each other. All of those are issues around harassment, bullying, and emotional safety. Now, what is appropriate behavior? As a HR practitioner, how do you know what is appropriate? Now, in the definition of bullying, of harassment, of anything around emotional safety, the intention does not matter. Yeah? The intention does not matter. It is all about impact. Okay? So anything you do in the office which has the impact of creating a hostile work environment is equal to harassment. Yeah? It is equal to bullying. And you must be careful with it. So for example, if I walk into the office, or if a colleague walks into the office, and at the Monday morning meeting, where we all are, you comment that that dress shows off your figure in front of 70 people. Is that appropriate? Can you imagine the effect that it has on this employee? Yeah? So that's where harassment comes from. Now, appropriate behavior is respectful. We must respect each other. It has very clear boundaries. It is inclusive. It is constructive. It is supportive. Most of the things that Beatrice told us would apply as appropriate. Now, inappropriate behavior, that is where it gets a bit more interesting. So number one, anything sexual in the workplace, automatically out. Yeah? Anything that is a stereotype. Anything that is a stereotype. Accountants are usually stingy. Yeah? Accountants are usually stingy. Watu wa HR wako aje? Wako sawa. Watu wa HR wata snitch. Si ndio? Yeah? All of that. Any stereotypes you have, that is inappropriate. Teasing each other, that is inappropriate. Anything exclusionary. Yeah? So that we say, you know, baby boy, we don't want to stress him. Let's not invite him for that meeting. Unajua mtu wa legal ataharibu mkutano. Sindio? Anything exclusionary is not permitted. So that is the point. Now, like I've said, the key takeaway is the impact on the organization. Yeah? Anything that makes the workplace hard. And I will tell you this, for example, even for situations where you're outside the office. Yeah? Let's assume we've gone for a team building somewhere. We're a team of 50 people. And after that, we decide that HR has sponsored drinks so that we can all be best friends at work, isn't it? Yeah? They are sponsoring drinks. And we decide in our best friend, we will hug. We will carry each other. We will call each other babe. And who's office boyfriend. Yeah? And at the end of all this, when we come back to work, Nick is now uncomfortable because no one said they want to, yeah. Or no one wants Nick as their office boyfriend. And now he sits in the corner, he doesn't even want to do anything. Yeah? So you can see, even that conduct, which was in Naivasha, has an impact on the workplace. And so it qualifies as something to be taken care of. Now, the other thing I want to touch on, and this is for you HR practitioners, what to do. What are your duties? Yeah? Number one, you have a duty to investigate. Now, courts have been very clear that whenever you find out there is anything happening in the office, you have a positive duty. Yeah? Now, that's a key word, positive duty. It means it's for you to move. It is not for the employee to prove or to come with messages or to come with evidence or to come with witnesses. It is for you. So the organization has a positive duty. Now, I always tell my clients that even if you find out something by way of a sticky note on your desk, yeah, and it says, so-and-so is being harassed, so-and-so is being sexually harassed, so-and-so is being cyberbullied, you have a positive duty to look into it. You cannot say that because it was a sticky note, hiyo tutawacha. Yeah? And so, yeah, or see official, or what evidence do you have? You know, Nick is just like that. He likes to hug people. Why are you taking it personally? Yeah? That one is not allowed. Courts have been very clear, and it is very costly. I'll tell you the cost shortly, but it is very costly when you don't take that positive step. So however you find out, and I'll give you an example of a case I did recently, where an employee reported sexual harassment, and HR took it seriously. And when the employee saw that, this guy is going to get fired, She decided, let me withdraw my complaint because I mean, it wasn't that bad. I don't want him to be fired. It might come back to me. And now HR is stuck. What do we do? The main witness has withdrawn. But again, the point is that you have a positive duty to act. So long as you know, it does not matter how you came to know. You must act on it. So even if the witness decides, what kind of evidence should I be keeping, if any, have a training. So that on the day we are in court and you're asked the question, what did you guys do to ensure this environment is safe? We have a training every year. Yeah, that's a perfect answer. Number 3, you need to have reporting mechanisms. Yeah. Now, finding out by a sticky note is not ideal in any way. Yeah, you need to have a way to report. Can I come to HR? Is there an email address I can send something to? Do we have an anonymous whistleblower, system of some sort? So that if I see something and someone is afraid to report, I know what to do. Yeah. Number 4, you need to have policies. Now, Beatrice mentioned you can't policy everything, but there are some things that you must. Yeah. There are some things that you must. Actually, the law requires, if you're an organization of 20 or more, you should have a sexual harassment policy with a clear definition, clear reporting lines, and whatever punishment will come as a result of being found guilty of that. And the last thing is support systems. So you must have support systems in place. Yeah? You must have support systems because as an employer, you have a duty not only to investigate, but also to return the work environment to safety. So if you find a work environment is hostile because of bullying, because of harassment, you also have a duty to correct that, to bring back the environment to what it's supposed to be. Yeah? Now, I will give you an example of why support systems are important. Like Beatrice mentioned, you find some employees have issues and they become alcoholics. Yeah? And by the time it is being corrected internally between the employees, there have been fights in the office. Yeah? There have been people shouting in meetings. And what happens is that culture has grown so much, even when you rehabilitate this person, people still don't talk in meetings. Yeah? People still don't give their ideas. People still don't want to report anything they see. So that rehabilitating the workplace is very, very important. Now, I will give you one case. You can go check it. Now, let me give you a situation. So, for example, in sexual harassment, the victim's name is usually hidden, but the organization's name is not. The person who's been accused is not. So this case, and unfortunately, I will say the organization because it's a public record. So this was a case about G4S. Yeah? Many, many years ago, and it went up to the Court of Appeal. So this is Oko and another versus G4S. Now, in this case, the employee in question was a lady, and she reported sexual harassment. Now, the person who was harassing her was the group head of HR. Yeah? The group head of HR. So you're supposed to report him to him. Yeah? Very difficult situation. So what did she do? She decided to tell the MD. Yeah? So she went to the MD, explained what happened, and the MD called in the general legal counsel, and they sat there and they listened, and then they dismissed it. They said, hiyo ni kitu kidogo, surely. You want to spoil his career for that? So they dismissed her. And what happened is that the group HR found out that you have gone and snitched. Yeah? And very shortly, she was terminated. Yeah? She was terminated. Of course, when you read the case, you will see all of the stops they pulled to get her out. Now the court was very clear. Number one, the first failure by G4S was to receive a report and to dismiss it. Yeah. And that's where the positive duty comes from. If you receive a report, no matter how you received it, you must investigate. And this means if you need to interview people, do it. If you need to, get a statement, inform the accused, all of that, you need to do it. Number two, the second failure was that the company failed to redress. To redress. This means that whoever has come to complain, to investigate is not enough. Yeah? You can investigate and find out the facts, but you must take action. Now, if you find that Nick is guilty of bullying, something must flow from that. And it's not a discussion or a tap on the back or you stop. Stop. Wacha. Wacha. Nimekwambia uache. It's not that. You must take proper disciplinary action so that when we end up in court, I can defend you effectively. And as you're being cross-examined, you're not, tapping watermelon, you don't know if it's yes, you can't remember. So that's why you must do it. And in this case, eventually, she was awarded, aside from compensation for unfair termination, she was awarded 3.5 million shillings. So it is costly. Yeah, it is costly. It is a costly mistake. So why does all this matter? Why should you be able to identify and to act on any situation that is causing psychological or emotional instability in the office? Number one, we've already said, legal risk. Yeah? So there's the risk of being taken to court. Like I've told you, the company's name, the company's reputation, when it's trending on social media, they will write the company's name in full. Yeah? So there's a very big reputational risk for any organization. So you have to look at that. Number two, tell your neighbor, lawyers are not cheap. I'm sure you all know. Yeah? You all know. Lawyers are not cheap. By the time you have dealt with a lawyer for 3 years, you have asked for a payment plan or two, isn't it? Yeah, so lawyers are not cheap. So do it for that. I know when you go back to your companies, money is a big factor, isn't it? Yeah? So they know if HR is costing, if HR has to pay Nick every hour X amount, he has to be consulted so much, what are you guys really doing? Yeah? So lawyers are not cheap. Number three, courts will punish you. Yeah? Courts will punish you. Compensation will be awarded and it will seem crazy. Yeah? So that's another cost that you have to keep in mind. The other thing is, of course, the impact on the business. Yeah? Your business is not able to perform, or you're not able to eat your sweat because you are fighting all over. So that business impact is very critical. You must try and ensure you have as little legal issues as you can. The other thing on business impact, like Beatrice told us, absenteeism, high turnover, low productivity, silent quitting, all of that, it comes from this. And people will talk. Hey, kampuni, hey, where did you come from? Ooh. Here there are so many cases. Tutakuombea, just welcome. All of that, such things can be avoided by taking proactive legal stands. The other thing is that you do have an obligation. As a company, as custodians of HR, you do have an obligation, a moral obligation and a legal obligation to look into these things, to solve them, to try and correct such behaviors, And if you see there are employees who are not, who are not complying, who you have given enough chances, who you have supported, you must take that decision to terminate. And in the end, I mean, yes, you're sending this person to poverty, like it was said, but amechangia, sindio? So yeah, so that's it for the legal. Thank you very much. Any question? And perhaps it's something also you need to tell, your leadership, wherever it is you work. The final decision is the company's. It does not belong to the disciplinary committee. So the committee can give a recommendation, but the final decision is the company's. So you can, even if the committee votes to give a warning, management can take the decision that no, we actually don't condone this, and we will act on it toughly. And yes, as a legal advisor, definitely I would tell you it will cost. It will cost you down the road. The other question was on teasing. Now, you asked about being best friends. Now, if you're best friends, there is nothing unwanted about how you deal with each other. Now, if you recall my definition of bullying, of harassment, it is unwanted behavior. Yeah? So that since I do not want you to treat me like this or to speak to me like this, it is bullying, it is harassment, because I don't want it. So if you are best friends, then you are safe, because that conduct is welcome and it's not making your best friend uncomfortable. But if you're not sure you're best friends, you better lean on this other side. Yeah? The other question you asked was about new areas in law, or new areas that have not been dealt with in case law. Now, how I'll answer that is I'll tell you that the Employment Act and employment laws in Kenya are drafted to protect employees. Yeah. So all of the duties in the Employment Act are on the employer. Before you terminate, you must do this. Before you must do this. You must pay salary by this time. All the employees required to do is to work. Yeah. So if you perform, you should be paid. So you have to keep that in mind, even for new situations, that it is always the employer who has the duty. So if you find you're in a new situation, you would rather go overboard. You'd rather overreact than underreact, because later on in court, it's very hard to defend inaction on negligence or anything like that. Yeah.
Is it wise to, in such a situation, actually seek some legal advice at that point?
Definitely.
Yes.
Definitely wise to seek legal advice. It's cheaper.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the cheaper option.
Yeah.
Yes, so please feel free, give us a call.
Yeah.
And Babu, we are available. You will find us on LinkedIn. We share a lot of content on your day-to-day activities. We also have a website called Kenya Employment Law. We write a lot about every type of situation you can imagine. So please, it is better off if you have someone to ask than to bring the case when it's already, when it's shaiva. Yeah? Yeah. So thank you.
Come on, guys, put your hands together for Nick for such a clear presentation. I feel empowered. I feel so empowered that comments earlier about that bald guy in finance, I'm feeling like I was bullied. Statements were made earlier on. You mentioned about being stingy. Here's how we approach it at Centonomy. You cannot solve the problems of the world, and especially when it comes to family. So many times when the idea of stinginess comes in, it's about family members. Why aren't you supporting family members? You can't solve everybody's problem. And if you begin to solve everybody's problem, you become the problem yourself. So we encourage people to be generous up to the level they can. Beyond that point, you have no obligation. I'm using legal terms. No obligation to be generous beyond what you're able to do. Is real estate still a good investment? Yes. For what? So here's the issue. Always consider this matter, and we teach it in Centonomy. The best investment is the one that matches your goal. So if you don't know what the outcome is that you're aiming for, you can put your money in a wrong investment. So let me explain what I mean. Savings. If you put savings in the stock market, you have made a big mistake. Why? Because you're planning for saving, not for growth. What is the stock market for? Growth. Now, if you put also your growth money in a savings account, wrong. Why? Because it is about matching the investment to the goal. So is real estate still a good investment? Yes, for the right goal. Excellent. Thank you very much. Now, one last perspective is the perspective of a business owner, an entrepreneur, somebody who's running that business. Because as a HR, aren't you responsible for all these various, you have your employee, you have your team members, you have your bosses, you have the owners of the company, and you're managing all their expectations, right? So we're going to hear from somebody now who
back because of the overwhelming turnout today. That's a Centonomy team. We did not have seats. So, but thank you so much, Beatrice. Where is Beatrice? I can't see her. Thank you so much. I've learned so much. Thank you so much, Nicholas. I wish I had met you when I started Centonomy. Because the thing is, when you start a business, you don't know. You don't know about the Employee Act. You don't know how to manage people. And you think just because you've come from a job, it equips you to manage a business. And my learning, I was thrown in the deep end. Because when you're working with people in an organization where you're employed, it is so different when now people are actually looking up to you. So today, I know Waithaka has talked a lot about money, but I was told to wrap this up. And I'm just going to have a conversation with you about financial wellness and what it means. And I'm not going to go through the calculations he did because he already did that. If you want more, Centonomy has so much to offer. And then I was thinking about this. First of all, you guys have a hard job. Yeah? Let's just talk about money. People are coming to you with their money issues, but you're also going through your own issues. You see, also, it's not that you own a bank as well as people are coming. So what do you feel when people are coming to you to talk about money issues or to ask you for advances, but you're also going through stuff? And I think sometimes, and I've felt this all my life, especially in the entrepreneurship journey, sometimes people stop treating you as a human being. They come to you, they want answers, they think you are a miracle worker. That's for Jesus, yeah? That's for God, yeah? So what do you feel? You're going through you're human. What do you feel? Overwhelmed. Do you feel unseen, unheard? Yet you have to give to somebody else. And I think the first thing I'll tell you is you've got to find a way of filling your cup. Yeah, because we can think that people have it together and people expect you to have it together. They would be shocked to hear you also have debt, correct? But you're human. They would be shocked to hear even you over the weekend, that budget went through the window. But you're human. They would be shocked to hear you too would like a salary advance. You want to process one for yourself, correct? Yeah, because you're human. So the first thing I want us to acknowledge, even in this financial world, you can't help other people be well if you are not well. So as we're discussing this, please always check in with yourself. But even me, where am I? It's the same way therapists have to have a therapist. Yeah, so what is filling your cup? What is giving you the knowledge? What is making you okay that then you're in a position to actually help other people? And there's a time I went for a seminar, and they talked about many things that I can't remember. But have you ever gone for seminars and they say one statement that just stays with you for life? Then you're like, actually, I was here. I drove all the way to Naivasha to hear one line. And after that, I was gone. Whatever else you said, I was like, yeah, whatever. And the facilitator said, are you playing to win or playing not to lose? It's one of those deep ones that, don't worry, I accept if you take a minute. Are you playing in life? Are you playing to win or playing not to lose? What do we think we're doing most of the time? Not to lose. Some have said wait, but many times, what does playing not to lose look like? Looking at the competition. What else? Dealing with your own fears. Yeah, fear of failure, fear of so much, fear of who's going to take me to court and sue me. And we lose sight of what does playing to win mean. It's like saying, I'm going to go on a diet or I'm going to eat well so I don't get sick. You see, you're playing not to lose. Instead of saying, I'm going to eat well so I can get healthier, I can get stronger, I can have more energy. Then you're playing to win. So even in our conversations about money, you find a lot of the time we are having conversations about not losing. Out there, we are not losing. Or we've talked about how much we've lost. So you're out there talking about how broke you are, how bad the economy is, how Kasongo is doing X, Y, Z and the other, how we don't know what, yeah? What's happening with your own energy as you do that? What's happening? It's draining. Yeah, your own circles. And in Centonomy, we like saying, if you want to be financially well, which is going to be about wealth at the end of the day, and I'll come back to that at the end, are you having poverty support group conversations? And that is what poverty support group conversations have. Listen, we have to manage some things. We have to pay our taxes, whether we agree with them or not. Yeah, we were even told, pay unto Caesar what is Caesar's. Yeah, whether we agree with them or not, we are legally obligated to pay our taxes. So we'll do that. But beyond that, what kind of conversations are we having with ourselves? Look at yourselves and your own social circles about money. Let's start with you, because I said you have to be well before you can even help other people be well. Yeah, and wellness does not mean the amount of money you have in the bank account, but it has nothing to do with that. It's more about your relationship and your association with money. What are you doing about that? Yeah. So, what kind of conversations are you having right now about money? Just you. Yeah? Just you. What kind of conversations are you having? What are even the things you hear? The things you don't have or you'd want to have. At least that's okay. But is there a lot of negativity? Money is scarce, kept, and all that. And sometimes as we're having these conversations, just observe what you're doing with money. I'm so broke. Let's go for coffee. To discuss how broke we are. As you turn your 1,000 bob into 200, so self-fulfilling prophecy, you become more broke. And that's the thing with money. You have to treat money like the same way you guys were talking about Beatrice was talking about job descriptions today. Yeah? What's the job description for your money? That's it. It's because money, think about money as it's a relationship. So this person is in your house and you expect them to do the world. But how are you talking to them? You're not enough. We are never. So imagine this was your spouse and that's how you're talking to them, or your child. What would be that relationship if every day you are telling your child what they did wrong? Every day. Yeah? And it comes from somewhere. So you've got to understand, we'll never project what we are not. Yeah? And a lot of our financial mistakes come from a mistaken identity. Yeah? Where was that identity with money formed? Childhood. So please go back and investigate what were the messages that became normalized for me in childhood. Do I still agree with them? Because a lot of that scarcity sometimes was normalized. Yeah? In childhood. We're told money doesn't grow on trees, or you saw confrontation. Whenever money was discussed, there was confrontation. So now you're wondering, why am I in my own relationships? Why is there confrontation with money? You expect it already. It's normal. So you take it, yeah? Well, you find other people who playing to win was normalized. So playing not to lose was normalized. Keep whatever, let's not spend, we can never do this, etc. But you find some people, it is the opposite. Yeah? And a community, I find that very obviously that it was normalized is the Asian community. Money was simply normalized. Wealth was normalized. And there was a clear path set forward for many of them. This is the business. At some point, you'll go work for somebody else, and then you will come and run your business. Your children will do the same thing, and every generation will build on top of each other. So we may look and think about, oh, wow, how did they do it? It must have taken a lot of money. No, somebody normalized something. Somebody set in place that this is going to be how our family is going to run. So we've got to start asking ourselves, for yourself, what are you going to normalize? Because sometimes your experiences become how you think, and they become the patterns that you follow. And that's why sometimes we talk about generational patterns being followed, whether they are positive, so they can be blessings and curses, yeah? So whether they are positive and whether they are negative. Yeah? So just go back to that experience. And it's simple things. The rich uncle was told, go through this door. The not so rich uncle was told, go through the other door. You start to associate how people were treated. Or for some of us, it was when people had money, they were also treated badly. They were talked about badly in a bad way. So you wonder, why am I holding back? So we've got to really question what was normalized. In this, I have privilege, and this, let me explain my privilege. Because a lot of times people would ask, how come you started a business? Me, I'm like, huh? It was a confusing statement. What made you start a business? I was like, huh? People think about it, yeah? Because I did work for a while, yeah? And I worked in the investment industry. And then at some point, the bug just hit me. I can't tell you why the bug just hit me. And I felt there was something more I needed to do. And especially the workplace, especially at that, the workplaces have definitely changed over time. But at that time, it was very in a box. So I stepped out with what I knew because I knew how to do stockbroking. So I stepped out and became a stockbroker for a while. Yeah. But as I was doing that, I started having money conversations with people. Now, when I was working as a stockbroker, I didn't have the conversations. It was simply, or a pension fund, here's your money, invest in the shares. Finished. But now when it was my business, we would sit and really talk about money. And so first, my first privilege is then I stepped into business. And that move, and even Waithaka has asked me many times, Sheke, what made you do it? And I'm like, grit. You know the things you read about, ChatGPT. Why do people start businesses? Grit, resilience, vision. No, I had no vision. Yeah? Why was it normalized? My father was employed for one day. He finished his degree. He went for one day to work, and the next day he started a competing business to his employer. While he was doing that, he was also a DJ. We saw that when we were growing up. Then we'd come home. We never knew. I would be asked in school, what do your parents do? I'm like, huh? Guys were so clear. Doctor, lawyer. Me, I'm there scratching my head. What do these parents of mine do? Because, today I've decided to take horses to the farm. Or you come, where we park the car, there's a big machine for milling flour that has been put there. Suddenly we are growing, we're in horticulture. Then horticulture didn't work. We are growing trees, and the kids were being taken all around this to witness the experiment. Or then we're in real estate. Then we've dabbled in politics. So I'm like, what, my goodness, what do people, you're looking at your neighbor. What do your parents do? Maybe I write that. So you just write business people. Yeah? Because you don't know. But when I look back at that, that is what the privilege I'm saying. That entrepreneurship, yeah, was normalized for me. So it was not something awkward for me to do it. It was not awkward for me to see failure. It was not awkward for me to have moments of not having money because I saw them with my parents. Sometimes we just didn't have money. Yeah? And then it was not awkward at some point. Well, sometimes we don't have money to see, and then one day we're going to Mombasa. So it was not awkward that they balanced things So there was still enjoyment out of it at the end of the day. So even the way I see life, it was normalized for me. That was not normalized for them. So they are the ones who started something different. So for some of you, some things very positive have been normalized for me. Now, if I go through I would have to go through therapy to also now uncover their negative things, yeah? I mean, there's some things I've had to work through out of that as well, yeah? But go through the positive things in your life. What was normalized for me? And maybe that's where some of the things I need to do around money come from. But some of you will sit here and say, I'm going to be the first in my generation to start a normal pattern. What is that normal pattern going to be? And this, when we go to financial wellness, yeah, we think, like now if I say, what would you think a financially well person walks in here? How do they look like? What are they supposed to look like? She or he has what? If someone says, I'm here as a representative of financial wellness, what are they supposed to look like? Wellness. So what do they look like? Money. How do you know they have money? The dress. Financial laughter. How does financial laughter look like? Huh? How does financial laughter look like? Yeah? 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 So who's laughing here today is financial laughter? Yeah? What does society look at? The things you have. So if I came with the latest Range Rover, with the latest Samsung, if I told you the kind of schools my kids are in, where I was on holiday, yeah? And sometimes along the journey, those things come, those things go, those things come, those things go. But that's not it. And when you not understand about personal money, you understand there are many people speeding down the highway of poverty in luxury vehicles. They are not financially well. They just know to look the part. Yeah? So, in my journey, yeah, of building Centonomy, and let me ask you, what do you feel when something is normal? Like a phone. But then, years ago, phones were not normal. I know there are some very young people here who will not believe that. But phones were not normal. I did not imagine there come a day everybody has a phone. No, rich, poor, it has cut across social status completely. Yeah? Now, what happens when you leave your phone at home? Hey, we can delay all events. And I don't know why. And sometimes nothing is going to happen in those 2 hours. But you're like, what? My phone? Even in the house, people are always like, where's my phone? Where's my phone? Where's my phone? It has become so normal to have a phone. So it's like a part of us. If your phone gets lost, no matter how broke you claim you are going to get another one that day. Can you see it's now normal? And the thing is, we've got to understand our minds always work towards normal because that is the pattern that has been drawn in the brain. So when you see a car that you like, when you first see a car that you really like, admire, once you spotted that car, what then happened? You start seeing all over the place. What you have told your mind is that is normal. So that's where we are going, and it starts piecing together the information. But if you're always playing to lose with your mind, it also pieces the information of why you can't have it. So your mind doesn't choose. You choose. Your brain, for example, doesn't choose which information it picks. If you tell me it is normal to fail, it is normal not to have money, money doesn't grow on trees, your brain will be like, aha, let me get you all the evidence in support of your theory. Yeah? If you tell your brain the opposite thing, it will then say, okay, so that's the direction we are going. And then goals are important because when you tell your brain that's where we're going, the brain is like, okay, we've not been here before, but let's start piecing together the information. You'll have a conversation with somebody, and because you are in that frame of mind or you had set that goal, you start, aha, so we can do this, and then this, and then this, and then this. But if you've completely shut the possibility away, you're not. You want to buy a home, you want to buy property, you want to go on holiday, you tell your brain those are for people who have stolen, then that your brain will get you to either steal, yeah? Either figure out how you're stealing or shut and say that's not for me. And maybe when you're growing up, sometimes you have to investigate, what did I hear? That's not for people like us. Yeah, so you have got to now say, no, we are not, we are rebuking those statements. Yeah. So what do we have to normalize? I think as in this journey, I've understood like what running a business teaches you. Your relationship with money changes so much because you can never define yourself by what you are earning or what you have in your bank account. And this business of mine in particular, I had to show up every day to talk to people about money, even if I don't know where fuel is coming from downstairs. And in fact, my first client, I didn't know how my car was going to get from where we were meeting back home. But I sat there and we talked about money. So we have to demystify the earning journey, because I feel people feel if I don't earn a certain amount and instantly, then something is wrong. So we have to demystify that. One, being where you are is okay. Yeah, and it is a journey. So being where you are and starting where you are is okay. We also have to demystify that things have to go up and up and up and up all the time. Yeah? And I think being in business, I can earn 50K and then I can earn 300,000 shillings. And then the next time I can earn 2 bob. So it just gives you understand that ups and downs are normal. And you know, when people don't think ups and downs are normal, when they are in a down, what do? They get into depression. They feel ashamed. Yeah? And I think what I realized when we started doing Centonomy is how many people are actually going through the same thing, but we have not normalized that money is a struggle. And all of us, most of us, are coming from growing up in places where money was actually not discussed. So we entered this relationship where like, hiya, Atiyo, who again? I've never quite seen you in my life, never talked about you in my life, but now I'm earning, I'm in the workplace, and you guys, I'm now in charge of other people are coming to me, their problems, and like, hiya, what about me? Yeah? Taking time to get to where you want to go is normal. And normal doesn't mean it is what is shouted about the most. Yeah, Instagram is going to shout about, I'm blessed, look at what has happened, look at the words, look at the car I have, look at the twins I have. I mean, we don't, God's favorite child, favored. Me, I'm like, today I am not feeling favored. You're like, God, hello, did you lose my number or something? Yeah? But behind the scenes, you realize people are going, even by the time, even they get that, what they have gone through. So we've got to start normalizing the journey, not just the destination. So even for yourself, and when people come and talk to you, sometimes it's just that the destination is what they're after. They want to take another debt because of a destination. And you're like, imagine time, space, mistakes, all these are normal. Loss making is normal. Failure is normal. And not just for money. Even with people at work, we've not normalized failure. We celebrate the people who got their success, but we don't ever celebrate the people who failed, but they are at it. It takes so much to fail and get up again. And I have had my moments of, I don't want to get out of bed in the morning. And sometimes I've given in to the feeling and I don't get out of bed in the morning. At some point, God wakes you up and says, okay, let's keep moving. So it is the keep moving and what is shown and exemplified in the keep moving that we have to celebrate. Yeah, so we have to say, oh, you failed. You were conned. You took a debt you shouldn't have. Aha! Welcome to the club. Yeah, now you're a member. Yeah? Because it is in only that the true gems of lessons actually come out. So nobody is achieving that smooth sailing up and up and up and up. And in business, I learned that there's one thing I have against certain corporate culture is profits have to go up every year. Now, when you get into business, you're like, how unrealistic is that? Profits don't go. They simply don't go up every year. Imagine they don't, yeah? And so I can imagine the people who are in charge of sales and whatever, and you have to keep, they just don't, because you're dealing with humans who don't make the same choices every year. Yeah, so they don't go up every year. Yeah, saying no is normal, because a lot of times we're not financially well because we can't utter the words no. Let's talk about black tax. So many of our issues here, the people coming to you behind the scenes, is a serious black tax. Yeah, and I'm not saying let's leave our elderly mom and dad, etc., and say sorry you're sick, bye. Yeah, but we've got to have boundaries, especially with certain people, because this black tax becomes you're the one working, so you're going to take care of everybody else. Yeah, instead of saying, okay, you for 3 months I'll help you, but after that, best you get a job. Yeah, or this is the limit. Beyond this, it's going to be 10 G's a month if you have decided to. But we've got to normalize for us, because when we don't say no, let me tell you what we are doing. We are setting up our kids, because we are going to become the next burden to them. Then when you're watching other people, they're going up and up, is because they decided this pattern is going to end with me. We're going to set up things so that you don't have to start from scratch and you're not in this. And that's why in Centonomy we teach things like wills and trusts, so that people can say whatever you are building, can it go beyond you? So that we don't make our children teach them for sure, but don't make, this thing of everybody started from zero. We all have to walk without shoes. I don't know, parents, all parents walked without shoes and they were first in class. And we all have to walk without shoes? Life is cutting back is normal. Cutting back is normal. I know COVID came and people were shocked about cutting back. They were shocked about, let me tell you, us guys in business were like, oh, welcome to our world. Welcome to our world. But when we cut back, because of whatever circumstance, life is like that. It is up and down. So please note, your relationship and your status with money will be up and down for the rest of your life. So if we don't accept ups and downs, we are we're not going to be financially well. You'll be thinking something is wrong with you consistently. But what's wrong with cutting back? What's wrong with saying, I can't afford it? Yeah, like I was just talking to my colleague now, and she was like, her friends wanted to go to South Africa. She's like, actually, me where I am now, I can't afford it. What's wrong with saying that? Nothing. But we first of all, we judge ourselves for it, and then we worry about what other people think. If you just go back and evaluate how many of your decisions are because of what other people think, and then you wonder why you're not financially well. It is because even when you do those things, if you do go for that trip simply because of what other people feel, there's no fulfillment. There's no true joy. There's no satisfaction. Instead of truly drilling down, me, what am I about? What are my goals? Then you can understand, do those kind of things fit in or not fit in? So you're always telling yourself, we are as good as other people think about us. Hey, that's another early grave there. Yeah, because there's always, and people are never satisfied. If I buy the biggest car today, the watchman will not even have checked me at security. They'll come, they'll give me the parking that is even for the owner of this building. Okay? But 6 months later, when there's another model, because these cars change so quickly, what will happen? The same watchman will tell me, park where? This basement. If I'm outside at that roundabout, where that construction is happening, the parkings are full, madam. Yeah? Because what people are buying a lot of the time is people's attention. It is not respect, it is attention for the moment that you're there. Yeah? When I also moved from employment to business, I learned a lot of people were with me because of my title where I used to work. When I approached them as a startup business, they're like, who, what, when, how, what? Yeah, so please understand, people are not all they seem. Understand who's genuine in your life and who's not genuine in your life. So when you're pleasing people, really ask them, why am I actually pleasing you? So even the people who come to you, a lot of things behind the scenes is, what will other people think? What will my family think? What will my social circles think if I don't put on this show? Yeah? Mistakes are normal. I just want to talk about debt for a while because it's something that plagues so many people. Do you know it is the shame of debt that keeps people in debt? Yeah. It is actually the shame of debt because they cannot go and acknowledge this is the situation I'm in, and now let me actually get practical steps as to how to address this situation. So it is actually the shame of debt. And everybody here, myself included, has done a debt mistake. Everybody, I'm not excluded from that, yeah? So we've got to analyze, oh, you got yourself into that situation, that's normal. What should not be normal is continuing to pile more and more and more and more on top of it, yeah? So this is what you start doing. All the things I've said, cut back, etc., start looking for extra income, etc. And again, earning income is normal, yeah? I hope, and I'm seeing more and more companies. When I was working, companies used to have this very strict policy. You cannot pursue any other activity outside this. I don't know if those policies are still there with some organizations. I guess some people are like, hey, yeah, or is it still like that? But a salary should never be your only source of income. You are setting up that person for poverty in retirement. You really are setting up that person. Because also, first of all, as a human being, you have so many talents in you that are not going to be explored simply in your workplace. So on your weekends, you may be a photographer. Go and do photography and earn extra money for it. I started writing articles, yeah, which then became the book, yeah, but that was not going to be explored. So I think we've got to start normalizing, because what is keeping people stuck is feeling beyond, or the mentality and mindset that beyond my salary, I can't. And doesn't it put a lot of pressure on employers? Me, I've told these guys, go, in fact, when they come with products to sell in the office, I'm the happiest. In fact, some of them I use I use them outside and pay. Because me, I'm the happiest. Because let me tell you, from an employer perspective, it is too huge of a responsibility to be responsible for your entire financial life. That salary you get from here, which is constrained by what the business is actually going to do in any particular moment, yeah? So I'm glad you're here. We want you here. We want to motivate you. We'll pay you as well as you can. But if you can also find extra money or invest in a way that makes you extra money, you do you. But you do you. And I think if there's a change in the workplace that has to happen is that. If you don't want to lose good people, you've got to do that. Yeah? Because people then get frustrated and then they come, if they don't care how the company is doing, I want an increase. You're like, huh? From where? Yeah? So let's not constrain people by a salary. And even to everybody here, your salary that you're earning from your workplace is not representative of your financial potential. It is only a part. So I want you to start asking, what can I do? So at Centonomy, we teach something called, one of our game changers in the class is non-financial assets. What can you do? Can you cook? Are you a listener? Are you creative? Can you do photography? Can you write? Do you farm? Some people are just sitting here with plots of land, fertile land, in shags that you're doing nothing with. What can you do? Because the whole thing about playing to win is setting your mind to win. So saying, yes, I earn 100K today. From that 100K, I can save 20K, for example. But I've done the calculation of my goal. I've done the calculation. Hello? Clearly, it's telling me it's time to wind up, yeah? I've done the calculation of my goals, and in 3 years, I will require to earn 300,000 shillings. Now, great. So at work, perform. So we have to normalize. When you want a goal, give value first. So in your workplace, don't just sit there doing the same job you've been doing and then expect next year you're going to earn 150K. That's why even from an employers, we get very frustrated by that, yeah? What is your value, yeah? And I think someone said it today, and they said, and show the value first. Don't say, when you pay me 150K is when I'll start showing you how talented I am, yeah? No, show the value first, then people will see it, people will recognize they need you, and they will be like, anyway, we need to come to a better arrangement financially for this person. And that's life, yeah? So a part of it is about us showing up better. So even those non-financial assets, if you're creative, how are you using it at work? Are you bringing your best to the table before you ask for a salary increase? So I'm giving you some poyos to throw back at guys. Yeah, when they come to you with never ending, I'm like, what? You ask them, what have you done to show that the company should pay you more? No, the company did very well and paid other people bonuses. No, it's not about other people. What have you displayed? And I think we've got to have that momentum. And that's actually what we call entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is not about owning a business. But I think where we all have to go is to become entrepreneurs, even within organizations. Are you a problem solver? Are you putting value on the table? Have you understood where this company is going? Are you clear what your part in growing the company is? And are you showing up? Are you saying, no, my job is accountant? So when there's a new project, you're like, that's for the business development guys. Yeah. You don't say, hey, by the way, I'm quite a good, I'm an analytical person. Can I chip into that project? That's how you get seen. But also beyond it, saying, maybe the job will give me that 200K, but listen, I also have a farm. I also have this that I can do over the weekend. So it's asking, we're now retraining our minds. And this is the privilege entrepreneurship has given me. What do I do about it? If your goal is not scary to you, it's not a goal. It's just something you should be doing. If you can do it, you've done your calculations and it works within your budget, it's not a goal. Thanks. That's a task that should be completed by the end of the day. Yeah, if it's doable within your resources, let me tell you, it's not a goal. It is not a goal. Even right now, I have committed to some things. I have no idea, some property I want to buy, but luckily it's a 3-year payment plan. So I'm just like, what? I have 3 years. If I perish, I perish, yeah? What am I going to do about it? So if your minds are not consistently on forward, you're making your brain lazy. It will atrophy. You were given that mind so that you can stretch it. So please go look at your goals. If they're doable within your budget, task to be completed by the end of the day, yeah? Now, when we understand that is normal, that is the only way being wealthy becomes normal. Because we want the wealth, but we don't want the rest. We don't want to push our minds. We don't want to accept the failure. We don't want to go through. We don't want to evaluate the messages we did when we were growing up. Then how can we want to be successful and how can we want to be wealthy? Because it's two sides of the same coin. You can't get the wealth without the risk and normalizing the risk. You can't get the wealth without normalizing conversations about money. So even if you find a group that says, these are going to be my wealth creation support group, we are going to normalize money conversations. So we're not meeting to talk about how broke we are. We are meeting to say, even if I can't afford it today, let's go around and look at property. That's going to be what we do. So the chama cannot be, let's sit there and eat and drink tea and drink wine and go home. Yeah? What have we done? Yeah? So we've got to start normalizing that. You've got to normalize having conversations with people who are way ahead of you. And actually, when I was building Centonomy, what I did is I went and had conversations with wealthy people. Shaking, because you shake, because you're like, me, I don't even have fuel in my car. This person has given me their time. Why? And then when you talk to them, you realize they're just normal people who normalized something. They normalized risk. They normalized what? Yeah. I had sat across a billionaire who told me to make $1 billion, you've got to be willing to lose $1 billion. Yeah. Yeah. He's a billionaire, but it's because I've lost $1 billion. So that was like, it's two sides of the same coin. Then he also told me to make $1 billion, you have to enter the mind of a billionaire now. So you have 2 bob, enter the mind of a billionaire today. Just look at how a billionaire spends their time and ask yourself, how are you spending their time? Oh, Java, broke. A billionaire is there strategizing, networking, experimenting, etc. How are you spending your time? TikTok. Yeah? So, and there's a TikTok part is good. And I'm not saying we can't do TikTok, but just look at how much time we spend on things that actually don't take you forward. That's not what the basic, like enter the habits of a billionaire. Be willing along the way to lose $1 billion. Like, and he's like, maybe you may not lose $1 billion, you might lose 300 million. But if you want 1 billion, that's it. And nobody talks about that. Yeah, and that's why we glorify people who got 1 billion instantly in illegal ways, but then they never keep it because they don't have the character. So financial wellness is saying, I can trust my character so much that even today, if things went down, that same character will build it up. Because you can take away the money, will come and go, but the character remains. So what we're starting to build, and we have to build as we change our society, is a money character. A different money character from what we have been used to. And as Africans, a different money character from what the rest of the world, as they came to take our resources, told us we are. Yeah, so we have to define our own character as we go. So to end, I just want to leave you with my personal definition of wealth. Yeah. Wealth is knowing what you want. The debt is not the problem. Today's salary is not the problem. The economy is not the problem. Are you crystal clear on what you want? Because you can't play to win if you don't know what you want. And then your moves are in line with what you actually want. Yeah? And not what other people have told you you should want. So spend some time with yourself and actually say, what do I actually want? Then the courage, and it's courage. You won't want to get out of bed in the morning to go through the ups and downs. So acknowledge it is a lifelong journey of ups and downs. So this is the thing. Are you the same person on a boda and in a Range Rover? That's it. That's the courage to go through the ups and downs. It's saying, this is nice. When I have a Range Rover, it's nice. But if I can't, and I'm on the back of a boda, am I, WACEKE, the same person? And I think what business, the ups and downs of business have showed me is I'm the same person. I'm the same person. Yeah, if I have to move out of my house today and go rent somewhere else, I'm the same person. If I have to give up my car and go, I'm the same person. If my car gets upgraded, I'm also the same person. Yeah? So can you be the same? Because then you see, you're saying, I'm right with myself. I'm right with who I am. I'm not defined by my money. I have certain goals and I'm working towards them and I want to achieve them. But understanding the fulfillment is more in the process than the destination. And when I get them, I'm also able to celebrate the ups without shame. So if I can't afford that trip, I go without hiding it from the relative I had to say no to. Okay, that one you can hide from. Yeah? And then we equip ourselves. Just the same way you are equipped for your job. You equip yourself with the knowledge to navigate the journey. So what helps you with the downs is knowledge. What helps you with the downs is also community. Saying, I'm not alone. I have this support group, yeah? Like in the Centonomy, what we've done is build a huge alumni that are always having open conversations about money, yeah? I have a group of fellow entrepreneurs where sometimes we understand the entrepreneurship journey and how people sometimes can look at us like we own the world. And they're like, hey guys, can you swing me a Katenjis? And there's no judgment about it. You need those people in your life, yeah? So knowledge to navigate the journey. Equip yourself with the tools, yeah, to actually navigate the journey. And I hope we can partner with that. So that is wealth, yeah? So my call to action for you in your own life first, and then in your workplace, start figuring out how do we make money conversations normal? Because most people are struggling from, I'm alone. I'm the only one making this mistake. So much self-condemnation already. Even by the time they're approaching you, okay, some have become they don't care anymore. They're approaching you, but you can tell they're approaching you for salary advance, but they feel so ashamed about it. Yeah. Some, of course, have gone rogue and they don't even care, but there's some. So let's say, how do we normalize it in your family? If you grew up without hearing money conversations, don't tell the kids, okay, kids, now out of the room, grown-ups are talking. No, don't do that. Talk, I'm not saying expose them to everything, but you can discern with wisdom what at their level are they ready for. Yeah. And it helps because then we start thinking, oh, I can never tell you this. That's exactly how they're going to grow up. If you have a spouse, start talking about money together. Yeah. It is so important. A lot of issues come because people don't communicate about money and have never been taught to communicate about money and didn't realize two personalities, money personalities, were meeting in the same relationship. Yeah. So make money conversations normal. And that is it, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. Oh, I forgot to mention, I do have a book that is on sale outside. And this is all about money conversations, by the way. It shares my story as well, the stories of other people with money, normal things, how we grew up, the mistakes we made, but ultimately how it led to the other side of the equation. And it is a storybook, and it is outside, and it's called Making Sense. So if you do want to buy one and want me to sign one, I'll be there later. So thank you very much. Yeah.